Maggie Smith once said, "I like the ephemeral thing about theater. Every performance is like a ghost. It's there, and then it's gone." Theater, a place where stories come to life. This event center is built on what used to be the lakefront. The stories about this building stem from a building that was here previously.
Before that, the Civic Center edge, that was a working waterfront, and for a lot of people that was viewed as very ugly.
It was a business that was multi-stories. There was a woman who was set to get married, and unbeknownst to her family and friends and her fiance, she was in an arrangement with the man that owned the business that used to be here. And on her wedding day, she left and came here to be with him. And when he turned her away, she climbed to the top of the building and plunged to her death. We were once again able to meet with Mr. Adley Cormier, local historian, and he was willing to share the history that he knew about Rosa Hart Theatre.
You had old ferry landings that had been disused since the Borealis wrecks went down. You had railroad endings that stopped at warehouses. There used to be a meat packing plant right there.
Okay.
Old Swift plant was there. One of the Swift plants was there.
Okay.
So it was kind of grody and smelly and nasty, and it was
a working area.
It was a working waterfront.
Okay.
And by working waterfront, I mean that from the 1830s until the 1960s, it had vessels, it had essentially service stations for vessels, it had
Sure.
diesel pumps, it had tanks. It was, it would have been viewed as ugly.
The thing that is most reported to have been seen here is a lady in white. They say that it's this lady who walks across the balcony from stage right to stage left. And then Mr. Adley gives us something to think about.
Well, I mean, the theory of the woman walking off the pier is one. How she walked off the pier is the question.
Okay, I see.
Maybe she was jilted, who knows?
I see.
It might have been a boating accident for all we know. I mean, there are any number of things that would have caused it to happen, but given that the Civic Center and that building and that land didn't exist until the 1970s, it's sort of like the story is completely open. You need to know what happened before the 1970s.
Sure.
And in that, you need to know that that land was built up and added to. It was not original to Lake Charles.
Right.
And the use of the lake at one time was more of it was used for boating, for fishing, for hauling freight. There were schooners that went back and forth. The Borealis wrecks and the Hazel both docked on the dock there at Puget Street and Front Street. So it could have been any number of things.
And it's so much so that the people that have been talking say that up until recent days, she's been very active. We were messaged on social media that just recently someone had something brush the back of their hair while they were sitting up there in the balcony. People have told me that she's been seen backstage, but most prominent is the balcony. The balcony is, for some reason, the place where she likes to be.
Imagine Olmsted Shipyard, if you know where Olmsted is. Imagine that on the lakefront. And that's what people saw when you went by a lake to Lake Charles.
Okay.
And what Sudeth did was completely clear all of that away and refresh it. And took out all the old railroad lines. He took out all those old wharves and docks and warehouses and whatnot in order to make that more attractive. Now, so in terms of a proper community building, it wasn't probably the wisest thing to do, but at the time, it was viewed as a very progressive thing to do, and Lake Charles was upheld as, you know, look how beautiful all this is. It sort of began the whole idea of communities building auditoriums and you know, cultural centers and meeting rooms and whatnot. Sort of began that, sort of cracked the egg, if you would, at least in the South, because all the other buildings that have followed, you know, the Superdome or River Center in Baton Rouge, or, you know, the Municipal Auditorium, all that stuff is all after Sudeth began.
Said, hey, this is what we can do.
This is what you can do if you're looking forward.
I got
and
you.
You're looking forward in the sense of the late 60s, early 70s. You know, it sort of changes after that, but at least then that was the way it went.
Not far from here is Bilbo Cemetery, and in the other direction is the Calcasieu Parish Courthouse that we investigated in season 2, and then not far from there, up the road, is Axe Theatre. All of this area is such a hotbed of paranormal activity. Is it due to the fire of 1910? Is it due to the water? Is it due to the Attakapaw Indian grounds? Is it due to the history of Louisiana? We don't know, but that's what we're trying to find out. And we really, truly work hard to bring you the most evidence that we can. And we really appreciate your guys' support.
With a little digging into the history, Mr. Adley was able to find out that no one had passed away in recent times at the location. So now we know that what we are looking for is something from our past. Though how long ago is yet to be determined.
Nobody had died at the Civic Center?
No, nobody's died at the Civic Center.
So,
actually, I did check on that.
Okay.
That was one of the very first things that Freddie did, was to check to see, has anybody died here? And he knew that nobody had died. He was the manager of the Civic that he would have known.
Yeah, right.
You know, from the beginning.
Mr. Adley then shares a personal experience that he has encountered with the paranormal.
Have you ever had an experience?
Yeah, I have had an experience. I had a situation when I moved into my house back in the 70s of having a physical manifestation of coins being stacked. You'd empty your pocket when people still carried coins. I mean, this is in the 70s. Sometimes I'd wake up in the morning, and not every day, but occasionally, quarters were stacked, nickels were stacked, dimes were stacked. And, you know, that's kind of an odd thing. When it happens, you know, more than 2 or 3 times in a row, you begin to wonder, well, you know, did I do that before, or is that the way it, you know, what caused that to happen? Did somebody break in and stack my money? And so, because I'm an historian, I looked at the history of the place, and I discovered that the house had been constructed back in the late 1890s by a woman who bought the property with her own money.
Okay.
And built the house with her own money. And then paid
for strange back in the day.
It was very strange back then. And then also paid for the passage of a man from Germany to be her, essentially, mail order husband, is what it boiled down to. And his name was Paul Greiner. Her name was Sarah Mertens, and they did get married. And Paul Greiner worked historically, he worked for the Rigmaidens. He worked at the old Rigmaiden Hotel, which is where Bank One is now.
Okay.
And he was their maitre d', and he was, as a Rigmaiden cousin, he was involved in all the Rigmaiden activities here in Lake Charles. Anyway, even after he retired, he would occasionally, and this is from my neighbors who knew him when I moved into the house, and that's the important thing, you have to kind of ask questions.
Sure.
They knew that old man Greiner, as they called him, would sit on his porch and roll money for the Rigmaidens occasionally, because they had a lot of activities that used money, and rolling coins was something that you did back then. So it's sort of like, that's what it is. well, why was he still there? And I discovered that when his wife died before he did,
Okay.
he thought he was going to inherit the house, and he didn't. There had been a sort of a usufruct. The house, if he could keep the house as long as he didn't remarry. If he remarried, the house was going to go to her sister.
Wow.
And that was actually in the abstract, in the will. I actually saw it written down. So he was probably slightly annoyed by that control over his life. And so there you go, you know, frustrated old man rolling coins on his porch. And, you know, 70, 80 years later, somebody comes in and buys the house and puts some coins out, and he sees those coins and he decides to stack them. So there you go. So yeah, I've had some experience with a possible ghost. I'm not going to say that he was there. You know, sometimes there are places that there's no scientific reason to explain why. Now, it's possible that he reported seeing the woman in white because he might have had a little tipple earlier on in the day, but it's been several other people have seen the woman in white, and it's been a consistent sort of thing.
Okay.
The woman in white there are several people that have told the story, and I can't imagine that they've all been drinking the same thing. So my belief is that there are some unsettled activity, you know, I can't say if there are ghosts or not ghosts, but there may be some part of the spectral system that is unsettled, you know, or something so dramatic happened that we're still listening to those echoes of the past. That's quite possible. I don't think I don't think there's anything scientifically inaccurate about that. I think that, you know, there's much more we don't know than we do know.
If the stories are true that she did what they say she did from the top of the building, then it would only make sense that she would be bound to a high location, having tragically plunged to her own death right here on these very grounds.
I'm interested in what has been experienced, and then come up with some ideas to why it's there. And most of the time, you have to look at the history of the place and see if it's plausible.
Okay.
Is there a backstory that works?
This is the story that we were told, and tonight we're going to stay in here and we're going to find out who she is and if what we are being told is true. Stay with us, folks. It's going to be a long night. Come join us.
Beginning the night, Amanda and Roger move to the balcony where the lady in white has been seen the most. On the way, they receive words on the ovilus in the stairwell, which we did not expect to become the focal point of the night.
Oh, church. Why don't you put it down for a second? Let's stop since you're getting some words.
What?
Yeah, I know, but all right. Give us another word. How about it?
Quick thinking by the team, they start an S-Box session in the stairwell.
Anything right here?
Nobody knows her name.
Nobody knows whose name.
The lady in white.
My name is Amanda.
Receiving no further communication at this time, they move on to the balcony to begin their session up there.
So whenever you pass by this, would that make this box spit out words?
No, it only receives.
It only receives.
Yeah.
So while you're walking up there, we're getting words, chills, and wire. Interesting. Huh. Here.
I think I have one there.
Huh?
There were many people in there.
Yeah. It's funny. So we don't use the words as evidence whenever somebody's holding the box. But sometimes it does spit out words that you kind of can't deny. So we just heard people.
Many together as hurt jumped. If
Yeah.
I wasn't holding it, that'd be.
Exactly. So hold on, what did it say? What were the words?
Many together, hurt jumped.
Yeah, so, hurt and jumped. So that's what we're looking for tonight.
Is it possible that we are already making communication with the words many people together as they traveled by the door connecting to the room where there is a party of people, and the words jumped combined with the word chills earlier would indicate that someone did jump and possibly landed in the cold water below? Could this be the lady in white letting us know that she is here? You decide.
Many together, hurt jumped.
Chills.
Meanwhile, Morgan and myself work backstage trying to make contact, where people have stated they have seen the lady in white during performances. We've heard there's a lady in white. Is there anybody here with us tonight that would like to talk?
If there's anyone here, can you say your name?
Were you engaged to be married and backed out of your wedding?
The Rosa Hart Theatre just went through like major reconstruction. It looks great. How do you feel about it?
Do you enjoy watching the shows here? Receiving zero evidence at this time backstage, we turn our sights back to Amanda and Roger, having finally made their way into the balcony, where the lady in white has been seen walking during performances.
Hey. Is anybody here with us? Is that a yes? Let's just go through some yes or no things. So can you say yes? Tell me what yes sounds like. Okay. No?
Is there anyone with us? Did you hear yes?
Yeah, it's the second time.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk?
This simple yes and no experiment by Amanda and Roger led to a series of responses that came through the S-Box on command, and it appears once the spirits were done speaking to her, they went silent.
Can you say yes? Do you want to talk?
And then, as though giving a gentle reminder that we are not alone, Amanda hears something in the distance that she cannot identify immediately.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
What is that?
I don't know.
And then Morgan and myself enter the balcony, and we validate that it was not us she heard.
Was that y'all talking? Was that y'all whispering? I couldn't tell. He had the box, but it definitely sounded like whispering.
Here is the audio Amanda captured. Let us know in the comments what you believe it could be.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Moving to the stairwell where Amanda and Roger received their first interactions, the evidence begins to ramp up, and we hear what we think is an acknowledgement of Morgan sneezing.
All you have to do is go over there and manipulate the energy.
What? Oh, it's weird.
Okay, that one sounded like you said bless.
Okay, that's what I heard.
Really? No.
An interesting piece of evidence that we wanted to share with you was a name that we received on the S-Box multiple times.
What's your name?
Do we know her name?
No. Susan? Maybe?
And when Morgan and myself entered the balcony, Roger asked if she was shy.
Are you shy? Yes. We don't want to harm you.
Here it is again. Let us know what you think.
Are you shy?
But what I found very interesting was that Roger was involved every time we heard her name, even in the stairwell whenever it was all four of us.
Okay, can you tell us your name, please? That was Susan. That was Susan.
It was pretty clear. Yeah.
Here it is again, and then with the digital recorder. Tell us in the comments what you hear.
Okay, can you tell us your name, please? That was Susan. That was Susan.
And then I asked one further question that we did receive a response on, but we could not make out. Tell us in the comments if you can help us understand what she's trying to say.
Susan, are you the lady in white?
At the end of the night, Roger went outside to check the radio stations to validate our S-Box. While I was moving up the stairs, something grabbed the top of my foot, causing me to fall before I could reach the next step. As this happened, the obelisk said several words. Here is that footage.
Hold on, I'm trying to get this thing recorded. It said
Well, that's a very impressive sentence.
Roger, Liberty, none.
Huh.
Of course, it's out of focus. I can't get it focused. But it said Roger, Liberty, and none.
This box just.
Like none, like zero, or like none, like a none?
None, zero.
Okay. Yeah, and this thing spat out your name. And
Right as Marcus fell up the stairs.
and probably as you were coming in
Yeah.
the door.
I fell up the stairs.
That's talent right there.
I know.
So
What?
the repetitious stuff,
Uh-huh.
that's on around AM 580. It's Coast to Coast with Art Bell and George Norrie.
Oh,
And we're
snap.
talking about paranormal experience.
No.
Oh, way.
Oh.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
No. Did you get it? Did you record
Yeah, I
it?
recorded it.
Okay, so how interesting is that? I mean, yeah, okay, it's a radio station, and we're snagging it every so often, right?
Yeah.
But how interesting is that they're talking about what we're doing?
I mean, it said Roger, and Roger was on his way
Male
over.
voice or female?
Oh, it was the box. It was the box.
No, it was the obelisk.
It was the obelisk.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're not talking about chit chit chat. We're talking about a real word.
I tripped, it fell, and it didn't say anything
I
until
feel
it
like it
stopped.
was like, wait. Like it was like, wait right here, Roger's coming.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's interesting that you say that because it almost felt like something, you know how you pick your foot up to go to the next step, right?
Yeah.
It felt like something stopped my foot from going up. It felt like something stopped my foot, like my foot was going up to go to the next step and something said no, and it did go up, it wouldn't let my foot go up.
yeah,
So I hit the step
yeah.
instead of stepping on the step.
And you're okay. I mean, you know.
And yeah, I'm
it's not like
fine.
You got hurt or anything. It wasn't malicious. It was
No,
just like,
yeah, I feel like that was really, these stairs are this is the ticket right here. These stairs are the hot spot. I'm gonna go in the balcony anyway again,
Yeah,
like
you
we
should
had
go
talked
there.
about. But these stairs,
can you take a picture of the obelisk where it said that Roger? So we have that.
so I'm sitting in the balcony with Roger, and Roger just pointed out that yes, while the obelisk said Roger on the stairs whenever I fell, it also was followed up by Liberty and none. And
This year was the first year we didn't do anything at home.
4th of July was just the other day. So that's really interesting. Like, this is the first year that they didn't do anything fireworks wise to celebrate the 4th. I think there's some meaning behind that. That's crazy. That's crazy talk.
And while it is only a theory, Roger and I came up with an idea that seems to fit the events of tonight.
So here's my theory. And Roger kind of agrees with it, I think. So the lady in white, I feel like that the lady in white is here. I do. And I feel like that she is a residual energy that only passes through every once in a while, whatever the time loop is. But that time loop is set, and she just passes through. It's just residual energy. The second thing is this Susan character. Susan, I feel like, is not that old. That's why she's shy. She doesn't want to talk a whole lot, and she's not able to talk a whole lot. Barely can make her name out. She's very quiet when she says it even. So I feel like she's not been long gone. And then the last thing is the male figure, the one that said bless you, and he's like blurted a word every so often, kind of angrily, kind of not angrily, kind of like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, grumpy old man, right? We have no name, we have nothing. I feel like there's a male figure in here too. I feel like there's about 3 things in here. And one of them is the lady in white, but she was just residual, that's it. And as far as the people having things move around backstage, I feel like that was probably the Susan character. I feel like she's kind of like, somebody see me please, and here we are, right? And we're trying to talk to her and she's just having trouble communicating. But I feel 3 things are here. I feel like we have evidence to support 3 different things being here. That's where I'm at with this.
Sometimes there are places that there's no scientific reason to explain why. You know, I can't say if there are ghosts or not ghosts, but there may be some part of the spectral system that is unsettled.
Okay.
You know, most of the time you have to look at the history of the place and see if it's plausible.
Okay.
Is there a backstory that works? You know, I mean, it's not impossible. It's highly improbable, but it's not impossible.
Rosa Hart Theatre. What an amazing location, full of joy, shows, and possibly a lady in white. Did we make contact? Is Susan the lady in white? And as the stories go, did she drown in the lakefront over a lost love? Or as we theorized, are there 3 separate entities? The next time you go to Rosa Hart Theatre for a play, take a look around and let us know how you feel.